something like 93% of our current energy sources are set to go away, starting immediately and continuing through the remainder of the century. What have we used fossil fuels for? Among other things, we've used them to increase the rate at which we extract all other materials and turn them into garbage. Oh, we use them in between time, but they end up as garbage soon enough. Many countries in the world are becoming stressed over fresh water. In China, many of the rivers no longer reach their mouths in the sea because all the water is used before it gets there. Most of our fisheries worldwide are overfished at this point. Many commercial species are in decline or endangered, or even in a few cases, virtually extinct. This is a really scary one. This is topsoil in tons per person. In 1900, 4,000 tons of topsoil per person globally. 1995, about 500 tons per person. And then 2090 here is a question mark on the end. To me, this is maybe the scariest graph of all, because we can adapt to a lot of things, but if we don't have topsoil with which to grow food, we are not going to be able to adapt to that. And unfortunately, our modern farming practices are leading us exactly in this direction. Food prices are shooting up. Wheat has doubled in the last 2 years. Maize, soybeans, rice. There have been food riots in some countries in recent months. And if rice prices continue at their current trajectory, we're going to see massive riots throughout Asia in this coming year. What's causing food prices to go up? Well, increase in costs to farmers. Diesel prices are going up. Fertilizer prices are going up. Fertilizer made from natural gas can be made from coal, but currently we make it mostly from natural gas. Transportation costs going up. And we're growing more biofuels. So as we do that, of course, that means there's competition between food and fuel in the marketplace, and that also helps to drive up food prices. This last summer season, 2007, of course, was extremely frightening for what happened in the Arctic with the melting of Arctic sea ice. Something like 2/3 of that ice is gone. Now, this winter, there was quite a substantial freeze in the Arctic, but we'll see how we do this summer. If the trend continues that was established last summer, the Arctic will be ice-free during summer months by 2013. And this doesn't have to do with the natural world. This has to do with the human economic system. The total value of US dollar-based mortgage bonds, about $10.4 trillion. About 30% of those bonds are expected to be lost in defaults and property devaluation. That's about $3.2 trillion in losses. And those bonds are sort of the bottom tip of an inverted pyramid. And the top of that pyramid consists of about $540 trillion worth of derivatives, financial derivatives. Now, just so you can, a trillion is a big number. You know, it's 1,000 billion, which is 1,000 million. The US GDP is only 15 trillion, and the total world GDP is a mere $48 trillion. So if this financial shakeout happens, as many currently fear it will, we could be looking at a very severe global economic crisis unfolding over the course of this next year. And why point that out? Because if that does happen, that will severely hamper governments' efforts to deal with these other crises like global climate change and peak oil. Well, it's been fun. I say that facetiously, but for those of us in the industrialized countries, you know, we've been living like kings and queens. We take it for granted. We think, well, this is how normal people live. Well, no, not if you travel in the less industrialized countries. You realize how good we have it here. But if then you compare how we live with how people lived 2, 3, 4 centuries ago, certainly what we've become accustomed to, what we expect as normal life, is absolutely extraordinary, profligate by any of those standards. And those of us who are my age, the sort of baby boomers, ones who were born after World War II, probably have the most to answer for, I would say. If you look at our sort of average life trajectory from, let's say, 1950 to 2025, during that 75-year period, about half the world's important commercial non-renewable resources will have been used forever during the lifetime of this one generation. That's quite a legacy to leave to our children and grandchildren, don't you think? You know, there have been complex societies before in the past, never on the scale of industrial society. We never had fossil fuels before, but we have had civilizations, about 24 of them. This is something that's happened repeatedly over the course of the last 7,000 years or so. Certainly happened in the case of the Mayas in Central America. What happened there was they suffered from massive soil depletion. But the Mayan elites were too obsessed with competing with each other and with accumulating wealth and power to deal with the ecological disaster that was occurring around them. We would never be that stupid, though, fortunately. And then there were the Romans, who, as returns on their investments in empire started to decline, they debased their silver currency, which was a form of inflation. They increased their taxes, the bureaucracy doubled. There was massive soil depletion again in the breadbasket region of northern Africa, and as we all know, the empire fell. Well, could this empire fall? Could modern industrial civilization crumble? Could it go the way of ancient civilizations? Perhaps. It doesn't have to. I mean, we understand these things now.